All right, guys. So, wow, major news to report. Yep, you first, Oscar. I'm literally in bed. This news is breaking, and I just had to bring it up. Yeah, it's big time news. Very very late stream, man. But I have to do this. I got to get on. Let me know how the audio is feeding. Let me know how the video is feeding. If I can get an update there in the live chat, guys. Let me know how my sound is. Let me know how the video is. Hopefully, I'm feeding okay. All right, we'll do some quick shout outs. We got Oscar. Thank you for being here, buddy. Jar Cohen 123. I got the word. Definitely good to have you here in the chat. Yarnike Washington, glad you could be here. Hank, good to see you here. Yeah, Jar Cohen, it's crazy. Flabbergasted is a good word for it. Braveheart's in the house. Lan, thank you for letting me know audio and visual is good. Adam, glad you could be here. A Fine Legion, thank you for being here. Jeffrey, glad you're here. Fultonic, glad you could be here. Frankie, good to have you as always. Fresh out the comment section, me and Frankie. Michael, glad you could be here. All right, 29 watching right now. Just good. Windy City King is here. Man, big news to report, man. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Just wait for some more people to pile in here. It looks like we've got about 30 watching right now. Penguin, we got big news, man. Oh, good news, Hank. So they getting with the times, huh? Mickey, I haven't said anything just yet. I was kind of waiting for the room to pile in. So you're right on time. If you guys don't mind, I'm gonna just take a sip of water here, rehydrate. Mickey says, "What's going on? Did I miss the news?" Not yet. Joe DeMarco, glad you could be here. He says merger sounds DOA. Let's talk about it. 33 watching. It looks like everybody's starting to pile in here. Actually, I was hoping to see Rafi in here to get me a little bit of moderation. Justin, you're right on time. We're just about to start talking about the breaking news. Caught this article from the New York Post, showed up in my Google News feed, and I felt compelled to do a story on it. So, Mickey, I'm in bed, man. I do not have a cold. I'm just chilling. I was half asleep when I came across the article, so I thought I'd bring it up to you guys, and who knows, maybe it might help somebody to know what's going on. So, all right, let's just go ahead and get into it. I don't know who else is going to be tuning in, but I don't know. Maybe wait another minute or so. Got 32 watching now. Might as well just get into the news. So I'll go ahead and I'll just give you guys the full announcement, and then I'll just get into kind of a quick little analysis of it, and then I'm going to sign off and head to bed. So for those of you, hi Arcelia, glad you could be here. For those of you that are not privy to the information, the T-Mobile and Sprint merger is in serious doubts. And the reason is there is a group of state attorney generals that are hell-bent on getting the merger blocked. And the way that they're doing this is they are kind of spearheading this group that has banded together to sue to block the merger. Now, in and of itself, that really is not the end of the world. I mean, I reported on this earlier, and I thought that the states kind of looked kind of stupid in this because the state utility commissions gave their approval, and now we have the state attorney generals for some of those same states that approved it. They're opposing it, so it just looks really bad. Um, and then now we have this news that the lawsuit is actually getting escalated straight to a federal judge. Now, at this point, when it goes this far, it's no longer in the hands of the DOJ. The DOJ can't do anything at this point because there's actually a temporary restraining order on the merger. So the merger can't even technically proceed. The DOJ can't even make a decision on it. So what at first seemed to be the powers at play were the DOJ making a decision, building some concessions that T-Mobile and Sprint could live with. Now it's become a situation where the merger is completely jeopardized because it's going to take a long time for this to have any form of progress. So it's bad. To give you guys some details, I was just reading the story right here. So the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, along with several other states, are kind of in on this banding. The temporary restraining order is going to block the merger. This is the Southern District of New York, which approved the temporary restraining order. So I believe the judge's name is Marrero, who is a Clinton appointee, is expected to approve the temporary restraining order, which would effectively postpone the deal for at least 6 months, which means the merger is on the shelf through 2019, which means we may or may not even have any developments in the merger until 2020. So if you're wondering why I came on to live stream this late, which, it's Eastern Standard Time, we're past midnight, it's about 12:30, I believe. Yep, 12:33. It's on the shelf. This merger is it's in the freezer, man. It's not going anywhere as of right now. I can't see any way in this that turns out for the good at this point. That really does put a lot of doubt in the merger. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in federal court? But I think this goes to show you when the right people get involved, things can either stop or they can go. And in this case, it looks like they're going to stop. So, Sebastian, glad you could be here. I'm going to kind of look into the live chat and see what you guys have to say. But as of right now, those Democrats that oppose the merger, they were hell bent on getting this thing blocked, and it looks like it's probably going to happen. The temporary restraining order is probably going to be okayed. Glenn Pomerantz asked federal judge Victor Marrero of the Southern District of New York to approve the temporary restraining order, and it appears that restraining order is going to be honored. So, yep, kind of sucks. Joe DeMarco says the ball is literally in the Democrats' court. Pretty much. When it gets to this point, there's going to be a hold, without a doubt. You know what, Justin? I'd like to say that the merger would happen, but at this point, it's beyond even what the DOJ can do. The DOJ could okay the merger with concessions, whatever, but this thing's on hold for at least 6 months. It's got to go through a process, and there's a whole slew of legal steps that have to proceed. Dilly Dally says the merger is going to go through. They are already putting Sprint things in T-Mobile stores. Well, they're going to have to take those things back down. It is not going through under these circumstances. Troy Hicks says this sucks. I agree. Gary says this is political mumbo jumbo. It absolutely is. Sebastian says, what happens if the DOJ approves the merger? It's still going to be on this hold. It doesn't matter what happens. Jamil, thank you for tuning in. Glad you could be here, buddy. Jesse, thanks for chiming in there, saying hello. You know what, Sebastian, you're right. Anything's possible, but if we're working on the timeline that we anticipate, it's not going to see the light of day until 6 months from now, at least, which means we're talking 2020. before anything makes any progress. Sure, T-Mobile's going to sue it, Joe, but do they have the resources? Do they want to go through all of this? I mean, they've got expanded LTE. They've got all these different projects that they're working on. You know, they've got their home internet and their T-Vision, all these different things going on. Do they really want to proceed with this? I really feel like T-Mobile might back out of this now. Joe DeMarco says if that happens, it will take 2 years, possible. And by then, we could have a totally new administration, which, again, everything's up in the air at that point. Yarnike says, what will happen to Sprint? If they back out of the deal or this is stopped, then Sprint's going to be looking from a bailout from a different company. I don't know, Sebastian. Maybe the judge changes their mind, but it's going to be a review process. It's going to take time. Hi, John Izzy. Good evening. Glad you could be here. Wes says, what happens if Sprint goes under before the merger is approved? They're not going to go under before the merger is approved. They're just going to be looking. I mean, if they bail out of this merger, they may just look for a different company to acquire or to merge with them. And I'm thinking some other cable company. Yeah, Fulltronic, this definitely sucks. Jarkoen is totally devastated. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people had their hopes up and things were looking pretty good. And then this kind of throws a wrench into the woodworks. You know what, Sebastian? I like to think that you're correct on that John wouldn't back down from this, but you got to be realistic. If they decide this is too much trouble for what it's worth, they may just back out of it. Nintendo 504, good to see you, buddy. Glad you could be here. You know what, Michael? You bring up a good point. T-Mobile will be fine either way. I mean, eventually, I feel like it might be 5, it might be 10 years from now, but they're going to exceed 100 million subs. The problem is if Sprint goes under by then and all those customers are spread amongst all the other carriers, that T-Mobile missed their chance to make an acquisition or a merger that puts them in a position of power. So that's something I wanted to see because I feel like T-Mobile has the correct approach when it comes to the company. I know Frankie in the live chat disagrees with me, but I don't know. I don't have faith in Verizon as being customer friendly. They do have a great network, but they're not customer friendly. Same thing with AT&T. I mean, AT&T is the king of fees. The only company that I see trying to keep prices from increasing and legitimately trying to make a change in the game has always been T-Mobile. So, and I know, people have questioned my bias. They think like, oh, you just love T-Mobile. I don't even have T-Mobile as my service provider. I cheer for T-Mobile because they're the underdog, they're the uncarrier. They actually offer value to their customers and they do their best to keep things and keep customers happy. So, where am I at in this? Frankie says, I don't believe some people understand what this means. You already said that the DOJ can't do anything at this point. The merger is on hold indefinitely until the legal process is complete. That's right. And what happens is, Frankie, at this point is what people are thinking right now is with the merger being on the shelf and having to go through more litigation, it just puts more dynamics to it. There's more opportunities for the merger to fail. And I think people realize that. And yes, anything's possible, but it becomes more unlikely that Sprint and T-Mobile want to proceed. These are two smaller carriers. This is not Verizon going to court. This is not AT&T going to court. These are the two smallest carriers in the nation. A lot of people, Fultonic, said that they had hope for this. So, Jamil, Sprint is hemorrhaging customers. They're not profitable. They're not like losing money per se, but they're not making money. If anything, the bigger problem is the fact that they've got $34 billion in debt and they haven't paid a dime on it. So who knows what happens to Sprint? I mean, they're going to be looking for a different buyer if T-Mobile decides to back out of this deal. And I'm way behind in the chat. You guys are killing it in there. It's all put up in there. Where am I at here? You know, Sebastian, it's not just AT&T that sold data to anyone. It's every carrier was doing it. Nobody's innocent. Steven says, big show for the public. The decision has been made. This is time to sit back and watch things you didn't expect. Won't change the end game, especially with the internal company changes happening. I'm not really sure what that means. Nintendo 504 says, my question is why when AT&T bought Time Warner, they did not do any concessions. That was a good question that I had as well, too. And that was a complete acquisition. That was not even a merger. They literally just bought them for their assets. That was it. And to eliminate competition. Orville's here, says, what's up? Hopefully the merger will go through. Sprint by itself sucks. As soon as my S10 Plus is paid off, I might switch to T-Mobile or somewhere better. Not happy with the service. Matt McDonald says, how does one state have a say? What happened to the GOJ and the FCC wanting it? Well, Matt, the situation is with a restraining order, it just means that the merger cannot progress. It's going to have to go to a federal judge and be questioned and be analyzed and be interrogated. It's just more political analysis. It's just the process, right? I mean, the process hasn't failed us. There's states that are just hell bent on making sure that this merger doesn't proceed without, further investigation. And where am I in this live chat here? Frankie says, you make a great point in regards to resources. It takes money and time to fight a lawsuit. Money better spent towards the network infrastructure. That's the way I see it. If T-Mobile decides this is not worth it, we've got better things to do with our time. They don't want us to merge. Fine. We'll do it on our own. We'll just continue to roll out 5G. We'll continue to roll out expanded LTE coverage. Hey, and like I said, T-Mobile's on a good trajectory. They'll make it with or without this merger. Fine Legion says, if the merger doesn't go through, can AT&T? I don't think if this merger gets blocked, I mean, there's not going to be another merger with Sprint from the telecoms. It's going to be with cable, if anything. K Deuce says, I agree. John's not giving up. I mean, he's a pretty stubborn dude. I don't know. I guess it's possible. Jesse says, I don't know about Verizon, but I have AT&T. They're the king of extra charges. I'm charged $20 every month for a line access charge. I think every company except T-Mobile has a line access charge. Could be wrong there. I know Verizon does. I know AT&T does. Nintendo 504 says, in my opinion, if they don't merge, they'll raise prices. The prices are going up regardless. Once 5G infrastructure really kicks up expenditure, capital investment, the pricing on our plans is going up for postpaid. It doesn't matter. Prepaid, I have hope for. Just because the systems are in place, the competition is in place. Postpaid, on the other hand, I could see, especially with 5G, AT&T's made it very clear that they're going to have tiered pricing for 5G, and Verizon has made it very clear they've got an add-on for their 5G, and Sprint does too. Sprint's got a different set of plans for 5G. The thing is, Kenneth, is nobody wants to buy Sprint. They want the assets, they want the customers, but like it's almost like a perfect storm that T-Mobile wanted Sprint. It was the 2.5 gigahertz, and it's all those spectrum assets that they could use to build out their 5G network and offer the home TV and the home internet. That was really it. K-Do says the merger block doesn't make sense. It's just holding up 5G. We are behind in 5G. That's true, K-Deuce, but eventually, I mean, the 5G rollout's going to happen. Now it's just going to happen with the current carrier situation at hand. So it's just not going to happen with T-Mobile leading the way. I mean, 3 years from now, if the merger was approved, I mean, we'd be talking about a very powerful T-Mobile Now we're going to continue to see T-Mobile as just the little engine that could compete. They're going to be striving, trying to catch up to AT&T and Verizon. That's true, Tom. I truly believe in that. I think T-Mobile is 10 years from now, we'll be saying a different story. But with this merger, they'd be doing it in 3 years. I'm Keller. I know you don't value 5G as other people do, but it's going to open up a lot of avenues for different types of connectivity. Gaming, online gaming platforms, autonomous vehicles, instantaneous connectivity for IoT, robotics, autonomous equipment, stuff like that. I mean, the opportunities are endless. VR, stuff like that. Angel Torres is in the house, says, is there a possibility that Sprint would decide to go out of business if the merger doesn't go through? They're not going to try to go out of business. They're going to try to find a match, tie up with another company, try to distribute some of that debt, and then get in a profitable way. They're not just going to try to go out of business. I don't know, 3 to 5 years might go bankrupt. But I mean, things have to get worse, even more so than it is right now. So if you guys could go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Go ahead and like the video, guys. And if anybody's feeling generous today, go ahead and send over some super chats. I'm up late giving you guys the breaking news. Why not? Where am I at in this live chat here? Man, that's crazy. If you guys do super chats, I'll be able to spout out your questions and comments a lot easier. News and Reviews says, like I said, Sprint's going to file bankruptcy. I think eventually they might. It just depends how bad things get. I mean, they've got 54 million subs right now. If they end up with like 40 million subs in the next 5 years, then sure, I could see them going out of business. But they're going to try to avoid that at all costs, even if it means SoftBank's going to have to continue to hemorrhage money their way. Where am I at in this thing? I'm trying to find a spot here. I don't know how far I got. Steve Kim says Sprint is owned 85% by SoftBank. I doubt they will allow Sprint to bankrupt, but they're looking for a bailout. They're looking for a buyer, whether it's an acquisition or a merger. And they prefer a merger, obviously. But if they got a good sale deal, I'm sure they would sell. Just nobody's willing to give them what they want, or I should say what they have into it. Lelouch X8 says Sprint should just sell their spectrum to T-Mobile, which is what they really want anyways out of them. Claim bankruptcy and restructure the company. I personally believe if Sprint was to do this right, realign the company, kind of get a new vision, get a new leadership group, set some short-term goals, just try to become more competent when it comes to network performance, and then go from there. Even if it's a 3-year plan, even if it's a 5-year plan. Get the capital investment in place, increase capital investment 10% each year, get a good vision, and then get execution. I know it's easier said than done, but I mean, you got to start somewhere. Auburn Man says T-Mobile has just as good a network as the other two. In some places, it really does. Speeds are excellent in some markets. Coverage is very good in some markets. I agree. Sometimes it is. But I've been hearing that T-Mobile has been dealing with some serious congestion in bigger cities lately. So the growing pains of a smaller network. The Last Hallow says, remember when John said prices would go down if the merger was allowed, and now its prices won't go up for 3 years? Yeah, because after 3 years, I mean, there's capital investment every year. How long could you not raise pricing, considering that they're going to be spending $10 billion a year in 5G? I mean, who's going to eat that? Where am I in this? I'm trying to catch up. I'm going to have to just jump to the super chats. Miguel Zarita, thank you for your super chat. Sprint's going to die anyway, so just let it go. What a way to put it. Sprint's going to die. I mean, they're not growing. They're losing subscribers. The network is suffering because of lack of investment, and people are frustrated with the service. And there's some people that, they want to pay Sprint pricing, but they don't want to deal with the poor performance. So I feel you there, Miguel. Where am I at in this live chat? I'm lost. Where Gary almost says Sprint here in Puerto Rico sucks. I've heard that before. Idon Rizzi says I don't understand why SoftBank even decided to buy Sprint in the beginning. They saw an opportunity to make money. They obviously saw potential. And at the time, Sprint wasn't known to be a horrible company. It wasn't until much later, after the initial SoftBank investment, the whole WiMAX failure, the Nextel purchase, the whole Radio Shack thing. It was complicated. It was one thing after the other. Where are we at here? Sebastian says, good point, Sneed. Thanks, I guess. SoftBank has money. Idon Rizzi says, why don't they just help Sprint? I mean, it's not being run correctly. You want to keep dumping money into it? I mean, sheesh. Carl's in the house. Glad you could be here, sir. Joe says, Sprint might need to raise prices. It's inevitable at this point. They need to stay afloat. Problem is the network performance doesn't justify the price increase. You can't tell somebody to pay more for a service that is not good. How are you going to charge Verizon or AT&T pricing for a third of the network? You're not getting the speeds and you're not getting the coverage. So they really can't charge more. It's almost like a catch-22. And news and reviews, you're absolutely right. You can raise prices all you want, but if the network isn't there and the people don't appreciate the service, they're not going to spend the money. T-Mobile is 52% the size of the big two. Yeah, I mean that's pretty close. Yeah, that's about right. But that's not close. Like, if you think about the big two, it's 300 million subscribers. If you think about the bottom two, it's 120 million subscribers. That's a huge, huge difference. Way too much discrepancy there. Jesse says, I think the states that want to block the merger should be forced to use Sprint until this whole thing plays out in court. Let them feel the pain of using the Sprint network. That is such a good idea, Jesse. That is definitely comment of the day. Alan says T-Mobile is congested in my area. I switched to Sprint's $25 deal. Wow, things must be bad over there. What city is that, Alan? Ben Wilson asks, how can they put a restraining order on a deal that hasn't officially been approved? I think that they're putting the temporary restraining order. It's ready. It's just like they're putting it in advance, which I believe they can do. Yeah, Sebastian, Allen, I agree. It's a huge gap. The top two have 300 million subscribers combined. The bottom two have 120 million. That's a third, right? That's literally a third. How could half of the companies have 1/3 of the market share? How is that competition? Jarko, and I haven't gotten T-Mobile yet, but I'm working on it. Working on getting another SIM going that way. You ain't lying, Carl. It is definitely politics. Auburn Man says, I live in Huntsville, Alabama, and I consistently get 300 to 400 megabits per second on LTE. That's pretty phenomenal. Not many people are getting that type of speed on an LTE network. All right, Jarrett, let's try to summarize why the states are blocking this. So he says, I don't understand why these attorney generals are suing when the very state that they represent in some cases already approved it through one of the boards. So what he's talking about, guys, is the state utility commissions. Like, take for example, I forget which one it was. I want to say it was Michigan. They're one of the 10 states that's blocking that's trying to block and sue the merger. Well, the Michigan State Utility Commission approved the merger, and now the Attorney General he's on the list of those in the lawsuit. So really weird. I'm telling you, it is strange. Steven says T-Mobile was actually in my town getting permits for upgrading our towers. I already get 100 down. Oh, here we go. Now I can see a little bit better. This will be an early adopter tower 5G. Yeah, so that'd be awesome because your network performance is going to be great. Yeah, Carl, New Jersey is one of the states that's blocking. Frankie says Sprint has great service in my area, DFW and surrounding Texas. On that note, I would like to see Amazon buy Sprint from SoftBank and partner with Dish. Then, like you said, see Sneed a new vision mission. Agreed. I would like to see something happen to Sprint. I mean, it's not working. And I just like these Democrats, just like this band of Democrats, I want to see true competition. We're not getting it right now from what we have. And who knows, maybe this block ends up still making change within our services because the market will change. Maybe it forces Sprint's hand, and they have to do something else. Sebastian says, can the Supreme Court tell all the states to go to hell with this dumb sue? Yeah, but I mean, they're going to honor the process. Nothing's going to be seen or heard for 6 months. And this could potentially drag out for 2 years. Jay Chase asked, did Connecticut Attorney General do anything? The Connecticut Attorney General is part of this lawsuit. Sebastian says, Frankie Hernandez, do you want Amazon to have all the power? No, but I think Amazon would make for a good player in the wireless services space. They've got a lot of money. They've got very deep pockets, and they would probably take it very seriously. I just don't think it's realistic. I don't see Amazon doing it. I see Dish. I see Charter. Altice seems wanting to be involved in Boost. Michael Trent says AT&T and Verizon behind the scenes, pulling strings, getting this merger blocked. I mean, the New York and New Jersey area is the home of Verizon, so. Yep. Where is this? Alan says more time wasted on this merger. I agree. A fine legion says, Yo, Sneed, why does mergers have to involve federal agencies? Because they have to regulate. If we don't have the proper systems in place, it will just be merger after merger, acquisition after acquisition, big fish eating small fish. Eventually, you'd have one big fish in every services market, which you don't want. You always want choices, and you always want legitimate players. I don't know, Alan. I don't know if T-Mobile would want to pursue this for 2 years. I just don't know if they'll be willing to go through this. I mean, they're kind of getting drugged through the ringer here, Jamil says the bad thing about Sprint is not the coverage. Their coverage is good. When you get a call, your data will get disconnected. Yeah, their voice over LTE leaves a lot to be desired. It's frustrating. News and Reviews says, who are the nut jobs paying 100 or more a month for a cell phone? That's what I want to know. The same people cry that they can't pay their bills. It's true. That's just like a societal issue. How they doing, right? Daniel asks, who's holding up the merger? There's a temporary restraining order on the merger. It's coming from the 10 Democratic attorney generals that I just did the story on earlier today. Looks like they're hell-bent on stopping this thing. So now it's going through some federal cases. Joe brings up a good point. SoftBank cannot invest any more money into Sprint without buying the remaining 15 or 10%. SoftBanks in Japan will not allow them to dump more money into Sprint. Yeah, they've dumped a lot of money into Sprint and they haven't gotten the returns. So it's hard to justify continuing to dump money into them. And that investment has not worked out for them at all. Auburn Man says T-Mobile has the same spectrum holdings as Verizon. Worst comes to worst, T-Mobile buys a chunk of Sprint spectrum. Problem is Sprint is not going to want to just give up their spectrum. The assets are important to the company. You know what that's like, Auburn Man? It'd be like if you sold, let's say you have like a set, like a dining room set, a table, 4 chairs, 2 stools. Would you sell just the 4 chairs so that you're left with the 2 stools and the table? Who's going to want the table set with 2 stools and the table, but no chairs? That's essentially what that would be. You don't just sell your most valuable assets, which is your 2.5 gigahertz spectrum. That's worth its weight in gold in 5G. So, yeah, Gary, I'm up, man. It's a crappy, crappy night, in my opinion. Some people are probably happy they didn't want to see the merger go through, so I'm here reporting on it, man. It sucks. Jarkoan says, don't forget competition lowers prices. Yeah, real competition does lower prices, not what we really see today. Stephen, I'm not sure. I don't know if it was 10 states in DC or if it was 9 states in DC. I don't know. I remember Wisconsin, Connecticut, Vermont, New Jersey, New York, California. Um, I don't know. Those are just some of the states I remembered. Pain in the you know what. Jarrett says, I heard the process could take more than 6 months because something called a TRO. TRO means temporary restraining order. That's the whole idea. The restraining order will be put in place to prevent the merger from happening. This thing's going to have to go to a federal judge. You know what, Daniel? I did want to see the merger happen. And the reason I wanted to see the merger happen is because Sprint's not doing anything. Sprint is an absolute failure. We have 3 legitimate carriers, 2 real nationwide carriers that are strong and very far ahead. T-Mobile's the little engine that could and is trying, but they're so far behind because they're so late. Sprint's just an utter failure. It's like we have 3 carriers, or I should say 2, and then a smaller one, and the 4th one's just a joke. So we don't have 4 carriers. I want 4 carriers, which if the merger was to be approved with the correct concessions, we might actually have a new legitimate 4th carrier because Sprint's not getting it done. Would Sprint go under, Alan says, if the merger doesn't go through? I think they'll hold on long enough to where they'll find a deal, honestly, even if it's not with T-Mobile. Jay Chase says, so what is next with this process? And 6 months or later from now, we'll be seeing this in federal court. Or that won't happen and T-Mobile just backs out. Simple as that. Good night, Sebastian. Glad you could be here. Thanks for tuning in. Dark Shadow says, if this doesn't go through, what happens with T-Mobile itself? Do they owe money from the suing? Nope. They can walk away scot-free. They don't owe anybody a dime. They don't have any type of closing fees. They don't have anything because what happens is the merger becomes denied as it's proposed. They don't have any type of cancellation fees or any type of back out fees or anything like that. They just walk away. Jarkoan, yeah, it's temporary restraining order. Michael says, I think Dish now has a golden opportunity to get serious and buy Sprint. Sure. I don't know if Dish really wants to do it though. Are they ready for that? Ready for prime time? For those of you guys, if you're liking the live stream, go ahead and like the video for me, please. Smash that like button. And if you feel like helping out the channel with a monetary donation, go ahead and hit me with the super chat. Get priority on your questions or comments. Alan says Sprint would have to sell Spectrum if SoftBank won't dump money into it. They have so much debt, no money to invest. It's like buying a car, but you can't afford the gas or new tires. Interesting analogy. Got to keep the car running. You ain't lying, Alan. Daniel says if the merger doesn't go through, what happens to Sprint customers? They're Sprint customers. Nothing happens. M. Keller says stop hating on my Sprint. Sorry, man. I'll try not to. All right, so Steven's got the states listed right there. California, Colorado, Connecticut, D.C., Maryland, Michigan, Mississippi, New York, Virginia, and Wisconsin. Jamil, thank you for the super chat, cousin. I appreciate it. Appreciate the kindness and the generosity. Jarrett says, I feel like the Democrats are just trying to have a power grab because they're tired of the current political field. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe they're flexing their muscles a little bit. Jay Chase says, I'm a T-Mobile banking customer. I wonder how that's going. Mark Hoyle, thank you for tuning in and donating super chat. Thank you so much. You know what, Jamil, you're a good friend of the show. I'm gonna go ahead and add you as a moderator. I don't have any of my moderators in here. Jamil, keep everything civil in the live chat for me, will you, buddy? Thank you. If you don't mind being a moderator there, I just appointed you. I knighted you a moderator. Tom says Dish market cap is only 17.5 billion. Could they even afford Sprint? They could if they had a partnership. They don't have to do it all themselves. Super chat alert, Chris Wright with the donation. Thank you so much for your generosity. Jamil, thank you for holding it down for me, cuz what did I miss here? Mark Hoyle says, came in late. Why in jeopardy? There's a temporary restraining order filed by a judge in New York. This merger is being sued and being blocked by a group of 10 senators and states and attorney generals. They are hell bent on stopping this thing. So, Mark, that's temporary restraining order, man. That's 6 months of no action. This merger is going to see a federal court. It's going to go through its regulatory paces. Now it's going to go through its judgment paces. Who knows if T-Mobile's going to even want to go through all of this litigation. They may just back out completely and say, to hell with this, it's not worth it. So in the coming days, we may learn that T-Mobile's backing out. We may learn that T-Mobile's going to fight for it. If I was T-Mobile at this point, I'd be like, this is just not worth it. Just for Sprint? Like, do we really want to go through all this? Steven says, I stand by T-Mobile's banking. I have been telling my customers how much I love it. I wonder if that's any good. Good rates, good customer care. That seems to be T-Mobile's thing, customer care. Tom says T-Mobile can partner with Sprint to get 5G rolled out instead of trying to buy them out. I mean, they're not trying to buy them out. They're merging. So Felipe's in the house. Says, I might ditch Cricket, switch to Sprint 5G as experimental for now, but Sprint used to be better. I'm an old Sprint customer. Sprint should have never got rid of Nextel, in my opinion. I'm a contractor. You missed the walkie-talkie stuff. Jarrett, the states are suing, the attorney generals are suing because of antitrust. It's, I don't understand. Jarko and Sneed, do you go to T-Mobile subreddit at all? I get all my news because people post on there too. I actually don't. I I don't use Reddit, honestly. I usually use my Google Now feed, Google News feed. Marty asked a good question. Can they just team up together? That's what this is. That's what Sprint and T-Mobile are doing. They're teaming up together. They're combining networks. They're combining assets. They're combining customers. It's a power play. Dark Shadow chimes in. I believe they can beat Verizon's coverage. I don't know. Verizon's got really, really good LTE coverage. They've definitely have the most expansive LTE in my experience. I mean, I know there's like Root Metrics and there's Open Signal and there's all these different companies that do their own third-party testing, and they say, oh, it's T-Mobile, and look, I've had Verizon a long time, and I've traveled to the Carolinas, and I've traveled all over Ohio, and I've traveled to California, and I've traveled through all these different states, New Mexico, Texas, Georgia, and Verizon's got the coverage. Their network is so expansive, and it's always been like that since I can remember. So when my friends had T-Mobile and my friends had Sprint and I had Verizon, they would use my phone to make phone calls. They had no data, so I'd make a hotspot. That's the way it's always been. Joe DeMarco says Verizon spends in a quarter what T-Mobile spends in a year. Last I checked, I think Verizon was at like 20 billion in capital investment. I feel so it was 20 billion last year. It might have been like 23 billion. I want to say T-Mobile's was like 8.5 billion. So yeah, that's about a third, which is pretty crazy. If you guys want me to get to your comments faster, just go ahead and drop me a super chat. I'll probably see it better. Where are we at here? Frankie just had a thought. Why didn't wireless carriers take the hand out of the Obama administration did on the bailout like other conglomerate companies did? I don't know. Why didn't they? Alan says AT&T wouldn't give T-Mobile roaming over 500 megabits, so it's pointless. I mean, it's some coverage. It gives you some type of connectivity. Second comment of the day from Michael Trent. AT&T makes me sick. Man, they're just king of fees. I wish Pete was on here. We'd start dogging AT&T. So AT&T is king of fees. Verizon is king of the price cap. T-Mobile's the uncarrier. Blow a lot of hot air. And then Sprint is, liars about their networks. No carrier is perfect. They all have their shortcomings. TomTom, Verizon is not growing. AT&T has had a couple of good quarters when it comes to wireless growth. But again, their growth has been very slow. The market for them has become very mature, which is why they've looked elsewhere for profitability, right? They're not really getting it in wireless. Keller, what do you mean Verizon wastes money? I don't know what that means. In regards to what? I think I'm just about done, guys. So if you want to get your last comments or questions in, now would be the time. What are we at here? Did I get all the likes in? Did you guys like the video? Make sure you've done that if you haven't already. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, guys. Go ahead. I don't know. To be honest with you, Tom, I'm all about employees getting paid. So, not going to get any complaints from me. I like to see people making money. Only 43 likes. There's 76 people in here. Let me get some likes, guys. Go ahead and smash the like button. Jimmy brings up a good point. All these carriers are the same, just different outfits. which is why you've got to go with the carrier that offers you the best value to performance ratio. If that's Verizon, if that's AT&T, if it's T-Mobile, or if it's Sprint, go with the one that works best for you. Yeah, I forget who was the one that said it earlier. Man, I forget her name. She was in here. She came up with the idea. Attorney General should be forced to use Sprint during the 6 months to 2 years that they're analyzing the merger. Jamil brings up a good statement. I hope Google Fi can roam on AT&T and T-Mobile instead of Sprint. Give more gigs for free. They've got a nice price plan. I like what they're doing where you pay for what you use, but I'd like to see the cost of the gig go down. So instead of $10 a gig, I'd like to see it at like $5 a gig. So, if you use like 5 gigs, $5 a gig, you got $25 in data, your bill would be like $45. Or, I don't know, 10 gigs. Yeah, 10 gigs would be about $50. That'd be fair. Dustin's in the house. Why Verizon would charge a $20 line access fee? That's a daytime robbery. Hi, Yasmin. I'm live streaming. You want to come see my friends? Come here. Come up here. Over here on this side. All right, guys. Yasmin is crashing the live stream. Who wants to see Yasmin? Come here, Yasmin. Come say hi. Want to say hi? Have you guys ever seen Yasmin before? This is my daughter, Yasmin. She's crashing the live stream. Say hi. Say hi to everybody. Say hi, everybody. Look, everybody's saying hi, Yasmin.
Hi.
Say hi into the mic.
Hi.
Right here. Here's the mic. It's right here. Say hi.
Hi.
Everybody's saying hi back to you, Yasmin. Up. Everybody's saying hi. Look. See all the faces? Smiley faces? Yep. See, this is why you guys want to give the super chats. We're saving money for Yasmin's college fund.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yasmin, why are you not asleep?
I did go to sleep with Bettina on her legs.
Why are you not asleep right now?
I don't know.
How long are you gonna hang out with us on the live stream?
A lot of minutes.
A lot of minutes.
Yeah.
Yasmin.
Yeah.
Jamil just sent you a $2 super chat. He gave you $2. Say thank you.
Thank you.
Here, Yasmin. Here's $2. Here.
$2.
$2. Go put that in your piggy bank.
$2.
Yep.
I want to buy something with it.
What are you gonna buy?
A car.
A car.
And a toy.
Yasmin, you're getting more than $2 for a car. Yasmin got a super chat.
I did a video of Bobby.
Yasmin is 3.
I'm buying a car, a toy.
Car and a toy. How about a toy car?
A toy car.
Okay,
Look at
Yasmin.
my face.
I know, Yasmin. It's time for you to go to sleep.
I don't want
Give me a kiss,
to.
Baba.
Hi.
Give me a kiss.
I can't see the dark.
What do you mean you can't see the dark? It's dark. Of course you can't see the dark. Yeah, Yasmin wants likes. Everybody likes Yasmin. Say, everybody hit the like button.
Like the like button.
All right, Yasmin. See you later. Thanks for stopping by. You want to come back and visit next time? Next time I do a video?
I'm going to do it again.
Okay.
Oh.
Whoa. Okay, that's good. Damon, glad you could be here. Thank you for stopping by. George is in the house. Thanks for stopping by. You know what, Joe? I don't know, man. I don't know if John's got anything to say at this point. He's probably frustrated, honestly. He's probably thinking to himself, man, is this not meant to be? Like, are we actually going to really get a merger to happen? It's crazy. Yeah, I'm sure you are, Frankie. You got your way, man. You got your way. No merger. The happiest person right now in the world is Frankie. Marty, what's up, buddy? Glad you could be here. I don't know, man. I honestly, Jarcon, I don't think it's a crazy joke, man. I really don't. This is real life. All this for nothing, man. All the updates, all the videos, all the special exclusive videos for the Patreon, all these things that we've been working towards. It's just frustrating, man. I really thought like things were quiet, the meetings were taking place, and I think that was really the situation. I think Jade and Jinx, for those of you just getting in here, the merger is on the shelf, man. The merger is in serious jeopardy. It's got a temporary restraining order from a federal judge in New York. It is not happening. It's going to go through an entire legal process through a federal court system. It won't be happening for at least 6 months. This whole process could take a couple of years. So that just increases the likelihood that T-Mobile's going to back out of the deal, honestly. Yasmin, why'd you sneak in here?
Because I need to get my
Yasmin, go to sleep, Baba. Please? You're going to go, right?
No.
Tom says restraining order. Was somebody physically assaulted? Yeah. Frickin' us, the ones that wanted the T-Mobile and Sprint merger, got assaulted. Got assaulted by those 10 attorney generals, man. Hey, let's get some super chats up in here. Brother's getting tired. If you're going to keep me on, throw me some super chats. Jessica Fuller says T-Mobile better not sell off Metro. Jessica, they would be foolish to sell off Metro. That's too many customers. That's too much revenue. They're not getting rid of Metro. Brian says if they had to pick a liberal state, of course it was going to come from a liberal state. This was a Democratic push. Joe says the Democrats were assaulted. Raids, unfortunately, or I should say fortunately, if they back out, they're not paying any money. The way that this whole process is proceeding, based on the concessions that were going to be put in place by the DOJ, the merger is not happening as proposed. Because of that, I don't think they owe anybody anything. DJ Holly says John is a great CEO. They're just hating right now. Yeah, Tom. Metro has about 20 million subscribers. It's a lot of people. Jar Cohen, John did not say that. I'll tell you what, he would probably retire if the merger was approved. I mean, because I think he's got 70 million riding on it. Frankie, what up? Alan says, I remember when Metro PCS came to, especially in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, it was sketchy service. It's come a long way. They offer a lot of value. It's now on the T-Mobile network. It's no longer a separate, Metro PCS network. Wow, Brian says, I was with T-Mobile because of John. I've never heard anybody say that they're with a carrier because of the CEO. I guess maybe it's the image, right? I don't know. Raids, I'd retire on the 70 million also. People on the Sprint subreddit say John reminds them of the snake oil salesman. That's funny. I think it was, I don't know if it was M. Kelleher or Mark Garcia. One of the two used to call him a snake oil salesman in the comment section of my videos. Jarrett asks, is there any way the judge or the head of the DOJ can just throw out the temporary restraining order? Nope. Nope. That temporary restraining order is locked in place. That's what the system, that's how it's built. That's what it's designed for. Is it really 126? Oh my God. Man, I'm about to wrap up pretty soon, guys. We've been on. I didn't expect to be on this long, but I wanted to get the news out there. So for those of you just coming in, or maybe you missed the announcement, the T-Mobile and Sprint merger has received a temporary restraining order from a federal judge in New York. Is it Letitia or Latricia? I forget who. Letitia James, I think. New York State Attorney General spearheaded a group of senators and other attorney generals to put a block on the merger. You know, it looks like it's pretty much putting the Sprint T-Mobile merger on hold for at least 6 months. This could drag on for a couple of years. Is T-Mobile willing to spend the legal money and the resources and the time into trying to get this approved and fight for it? That's going to be what, we're going to be looking at least on the channel for the most part. So instead of merger updates, now you're going to be hearing more like legal updates. So I don't know. We'll see where that takes the channel. You guys know I'll keep you informed. I'll keep you guys updated. Yeah, protest. Let's all get on our high horses and go over to New York and protest. The legal fees haven't been too much as up till now, but they're about to get real crazy. The legal bills are going to be nuts. Lawyers will be busy. All right, guys, I think I'll leave it at that. I want to thank everybody for coming into the live stream, tuning in to watch. I want to thank you all for your participation in the live chat. I want to give a big shout out to the Discord server, the Discord community. If you guys want to join in, get involved, there's a link in the description box below. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, there's a link for the Patreon page. Small donation gets you exclusive access to content, different videos and polls and interactions. And of course, go ahead and make sure you hit like if you haven't done so. Help people get hold of this video, and make sure you have the notification bell. Ding it, hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video or go live. We definitely have a live stream on Friday. I'll be doing the JG Tech Blog live stream on Sunday. So more content up and coming. This is Sneed from Sneed Mobile Tech. I'm keeping you guys updated even at 1:30 in the morning. So I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.